last Super Bowl was played right here.
Jason, tell me it was a classic.
Classic game. 80,000 people on their feet. Seconds left on the clock. So Hubie throws a Hail Mary. Touchdown!
Hello everyone, and welcome to this Pupcast review for Oblivion, was out in theatres in America, I think, just this past Friday, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay, and we're going to review it. I'm Jackson, and there's Kevin. Say hi.
Hello.
Hi, Kevin. So, what did you think of the film, Kevin? Just to kick it off.
I actually really enjoyed Oblivion. How about you?
Ah,
I did.
you did. That's good news.
Yeah, I guess I'm in the minority for that.
I thought it was okay.
That seems to be general consensus going around right now.
Yeah. A lot of people, me included, are just, yo, it's sci-fi. I will want more, so I'm willing to take whatever I can get.
I suppose. Like, there is a lot of sci-fi, but people who say that comic book movies are sci-fi, they're just wrong.
They are really wrong. I want some proper idea-driven sci-fi, and this was like idea-driven sci-fi without the driven part. None of the ideas drove the plot. It was just Tom Cruise blew shit up and stuff happened, but it was fun. It looked nice.
Yeah, it's a technically brilliant movie.
Yeah, I agree. So, let's run down what our highlights were. Then, Kevin, you go first. You give me your full impression. Then,
I guess one of the biggest sticking points for what I felt was just incredibly awesome is the soundtrack for this movie. Which is done by M83. They're I think they're French, but they're a rock band, and they've done really great stuff. I've already heard them even before this movie had come out, but hearing that they were doing the music already jazzed before they started filming, and when they released the soundtrack, I was like, I gotta buy this. One of the few instances where I bought a soundtrack before I saw the movie.
That never happens to me because I don't do that. But yeah, it's got an excellent soundtrack. Very, technological.
Very synth heavy.
Yeah, very Mass Effect 1. That's the word. Synth.
Yes, synthesizers.
Yes, synthesizers. And I think that one of the funniest things, which isn't really the movie's fault, but I was sitting in the IMAX and the speakers were so powerful in the trailers that they just actually shaking the entirety of my body with bass.
I only had one trailer going, and that was for Star Trek Into Darkness, and just blasting everything. It sounded like a tremor was going through the entire room.
Yeah. Well, it was that and Iron Man 3 for me, and it just kept going up and up and up. And then Oblivion starts, and it's like, okay, we're just going to be a normal sounding film.
Yeah, and it starts off really quiet as well.
And then it gets to its title sequence,
which is awesome.
And then it just has the biggest whoa of all, which was accidentally hilarious.
But also, it was fist pumping awesome. It was like, yeah, you did the whole Inception horn thing right.
Pretty much, they nailed it. They built up to a good. I mean, I wasn't a fan of the narration stuff at all.
It's fine,
but
it's a lot of narration to get through, especially within the first 10 minutes. But I won't hold it against them.
Yes, same. I would have preferred to just go through it organically, but
yeah,
for what it was, it didn't make any difference.
All the music does an exceptional well job at giving a sense of place for all the desolation. Joe Kosinski was talking about how he wanted to make this desolate beauty for the movie, and I think the music really reflects that very well.
And how good it looks, because it just looks phenomenal.
A lot of practical effects and visual effects. They've talked about going to Iceland for filming, and it really shows off the desolation and sort of the aftermath of just giant war, and just seeing all these skyscrapers and monuments from New York and all that stuff, just very evocative.
Well, yeah, it was just for me. The second that film started, I was like, "Holy shit, Enslaved," which is a video game you should all play, and because it's basically
no Andy Serkis stuff.
I know. That's a shame. If Tom Cruise's part was played by Andy Serkis, I would like this movie.
It was all performance capture.
But just of a human being. Andy Serkis did Tom Cruise's performance capture.
He's very good. He should win an Oscar for that.
He really should.
But I actually thought Tom Cruise, for a character that is very much a Tom Cruise archetype. He's actually really good in this movie.
I agree. I think he fits really well. Him and what's her name? His wife.
Oh, Olga
who's
Kurylenko.
she played by?
Oh
no, the other wife.
I don't think they ever say explicitly that he's her wife.
Oh no, not wife. No, his
Andrea
partner.
Riseborough.
And I think she's excellent in this film.
Her character is probably the best one in the film for me.
No, not probably. She is. She is just the way she holds it together with her, whatever it is, like when she's at mission control and doing all that technical dialogue works.
Having to deal with Melissa Leo.
Yes.
Who's very excellent as well. I was almost hoping she would say, "I do declare." Would have made it perfect.
If that had happened, it would have been pretty great. But no, yeah, just blowing her off with her British sarcasm, very understated. It was great. It was great.
Yeah, and a very, I guess, smaller performance considering like it's already a very small cast.
Yes.
But like those moments where she has to sell it, she totally does.
I agree. It's a pretty small movie for the most part. I mean, it's obviously got big action scenes, but comparatively, it's small.
Well, even I felt some of the action sequences, and this is one thing where I felt Kaczynski was really good at, and something that he was really good at in Tron Legacy, was that he does these big, grand, sort of showpiece action sequences, but they still feel like these very small engagements.
Yes.
Like that canyon battle that's been shown in the trailer.
Yes.
It's only like 3 against 1. Like that's small, but it feels pretty big.
Yeah, and the battle in whatever the industrial thing, there's one shot where...
Without spoilers, yeah.
Yeah, but the way he films it in the one shot following one of the drones is just really great. Just the sense of space within a kinetic action scene. Yeah, he's got good talent.
Yeah, he knows how to do like world building and action sequences and do like visually striking stuff, and no shaky cam, which is excellent.
Agreed. No, the lack of shaky cam helps. It's all on all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like even a lot of the sort of industrial design of everything, like it's like supremely modern looking, sort of high concept sort of thing, and everything looks beautiful. Like even though the Sky Tower is sort of silly, it still looks gorgeous. The Sky Tower is
super silly.
I don't want to go into spoilers, but the other building they show later on looks less silly, and I felt like a lot of the stuff that like talking about the design, like the bubble ship was really cool design, and like the Sky Tower really neat design, and like there was a whole bunch of featurettes they were doing before the movie saying that they wrapped this like giant screen that they went out and like filmed on top of a volcano for cloud formations, piped it out onto the screen, and that like helped light the set, and it's a great effect, and like adverse to the blue screen or green screen effect. And
it looks so much better. You can tell. I mean, you won't know, but you'll watch it and you'll think this looks good. That set feels really great, and there are some beautiful shots with like the pool underneath.
They show the moon several times, and that poor moon.
Oh man, really sucks to be that moon.
Yeah.
It got busted up.
Yeah,
it's a real shame. But I think those are the things I like. The problems with it, in a non-spoilery way, we will go into spoilers in a bit, is that it is really focused on these twists and this plot that keeps going in crazy directions and never takes the time to properly develop its characters. I felt.
I think one thing I sort of have against it is that it's largely devoid of any humor.
Agreed.
Except for that one line early on for Tom Cruise, like at the very opening of the movie, like it's supposed to be sort of like a joke, but I don't really like his delivery on it, and it wasn't that funny.
Which line was that?
It was like the joke that he should be more careful, and he was saying, "Yeah, I should work on that." It's supposed to be more like a sarcastic response, but I don't really like his delivery on it, and didn't make it as funny.
I think the interaction between him and his partner at the beginning of the film, it doesn't feel natural or dry enough because it's very stylized. It doesn't feel real in the way like I don't know how.
And it's very establishing.
Well, yeah, but it's just I don't know. Really hard for me to describe, but the way they talk in Oblivion doesn't feel like two people bantering. It feels like this is very constructed dialogue to give a sci-fi mood and this artificial world, which is fine. That is a legitimate approach to go when doing this kind of story. But it would have benefited from more just spending time with him and his partner just to get to know them better, I think.
There's no, like, humorous little one-line saying... There's no biodigital jazz moment.
No. That's a shame. But it's also real silly in its designs. Like, someone played Portal and then designed those turrets.
Yeah, and actually, like, the one thing that I actually like about the technical aspect of this film is, like, specifically the sound design. Like, all the drones they have, legitimately scary with their sound effects. They actually sell out really well.
It just sounds like... It sounds excellent. Whoever did that is doing a good job.
They sound like a really pissed off version of Eve from WALL-E.
Oh, you're right, yes.
Yeah, and, like, the story calls for them to be that threatening thing, and because they... like the design for them, and they all look really like when they're visual effects or when they're like a practical thing, convincing, and the sound design just sells that even better.
Yeah, agreed. So should we go into spoiler sections then, or is there anything else you want to add before we do that?
I guess we should. If you go see the movie, go see it in IMAX. It looks phenomenal there.
Agreed. I saw it in IMAX too. It just looks great. So yeah,
it's sort of hard to talk about this movie without getting into spoilers.
Yeah, very much so. So do you want to give your rating then, and I'll do mine
out of 5? I'll give it a 4.
I'll give it a 3, but not in a bad way. Just like it's very flawed, but the bits that you go to see, they're fun enough. So yeah, there we go. And now we're going to spoil it. So if you haven't seen the film, go away now, and we'll talk about a lot of the problems we had. Yo.
Morgan Freeman's part of the Dark Brotherhood.
Oh no! Tom Cruise has to kill Morgan Freeman at the end in his sleep.
No, it's not that Oblivion.
I'm going to cut that out because that was like the opposite of funny.
Oh,
we really fucked up with our natural rapport.
I don't know. It's status quo for this podcast.
Accurate. So Tom Cruise, the moment where it goes from kind of silly to just off the rules ridiculous is when Tom Cruise fights Tom Cruise.
I was like, immediately when that bubble ship was touching down, I was like, that's going to be Tom Cruise, isn't it? It's going to be Tom Cruise. It's like, it's Tom Cruise. Except, I was hoping it was going to be like long-haired Tom Cruise from Mission Impossible 2.
Yes, that would have been perfect. In fact, and then Limp Bizkit starts playing.
It would have made no sense for like the scene following it where he has to go to the other Sky Tower, but long-haired Tom Cruise would have been really funny.
You're not wrong. That would have been excellent. But yeah, no, because it gets into some clone weirdness, and then
it really harkens back to Moon.
But Moon is very organic with its twist. It's very just this happens and this happens, and the fact that they're unexpected isn't really played up. Whereas here there are just lots of moments where it feels like they're trying to go for the shock factor and they're trying to get you in this way that doesn't actually work to examine the ideas behind the movie. And also, it goes downhill. The movie just slows down the second what's-her-face dies.
Oh, Angie Riseborough.
Yeah, as soon as she's not in it anymore, I'm like, oh, god damn it.
Yeah, I actually felt like her character arc was like the most tragic.
I agree.
Everybody else's, like when Tom Cruise is like approaching the Tet again. I don't really like that name, the Tet.
Tet's a terrible name.
When he's playing like the black box for the NASA shuttle.
Yep.
And like he's piloting it, and then Andrea Riseborough comes in and she takes a picture of them together.
Yeah.
And of course, it's the photo that's in the Sky Tower. So basically, Vicka's relationship with Tom Cruise's character Jack Harper is a complete fabrication on a crush that she had.
Yeah. It really, the entire film was just that dynamic being shattered by the arrival of the wife or whatever. That would have been far more interesting. Like, if the film ended with her killing them all, just in this tragic way, it would have been far more powerful, because she was the best part of it, and I would have preferred it to focus on that. But, it still worked.
Yeah, it just felt like her whole character made a lot more sense once that reveal happened. Like, her whole hesitance to disobey any sort of order or to leave the tower to go with Jack, when every single time he asks her to go with him, she's like completely hesitant, because she unknowingly knows that it would break her sort of her reality of what she wanted.
Agreed. And I think that her actual scene where she died was unfortunately too rushed, because she took the last steps on her arc just a tad too quickly.
I don't know. Like, the way she dies is really brutal.
It is, but
but I felt like, because of course he's like banging on the window, and then she says, "We're not an effective team," to Sally, and then the door just opens. I was like, "Whoa!" I loved it when the door opened.
I agree. I think that moment was good, but just was hammered on the head too hard, when that could have been far more subtle and far, play up that relationship a lot more. But it was fine. And then, what did you think of the ending, where it was like, "Oh, hey, Hal, it's Hal."
It's Hal mixed in with like the master control program from Tron.
It's Hal mixed in with Vicky, is what it is.
Vicky.
You have got to die, iRobot.
Oh yeah.
It's totally Vicky.
I saw that movie a long time ago. I saw that movie in theaters, and I have not seen it since.
I saw most of it since, until Aaron interrupted me. Never saw the ending again.
The ending, of course, like very reminiscent of Independence Day.
Yes.
But it also gave me sort of like a very sense of deja vu when, like the final level in Half-Life 2.
Yes.
You go into that pod and you like dragged around the Citadel. It just reminded me a lot of that, mostly in like its sort of like architectural design.
Yep.
And I did like for the whole cloning thing, is that like Morgan Freeman says that the space shuttle went into the Tet, and then a clone army of Tom Cruise's character, like Jack Harper, came out and fought against the humans. And thinking about it, if we had to fight an army of Tom Cruises, we'd probably lose.
We would.
They do their own stunts, so...
I really think that movie should have ended with him going around to every tower, recruiting the Tom Cruises to go up and fight the Tets. That would have...
So it just becomes like the ending of Resident Evil Afterlife?
Yes, a bit like backwards. Oh, it would have been so dumb. But the real problem with the ending of the movie, the actual twist with the way it plays into the partner's character works really well, like you say, but it's that final scene that's just so dumb. Oh, the final scene's bad.
I did... The movie did throw me for a loop when Morgan Freeman pops out of the pod. I was like, oh, it's Morgan Freeman! Look, you got me, movie. Good for you.
How did you fall for that? He says, there's a moment when they're like, we sure would be worth it to see that. And Tom Cruise goes, yeah, it would.
Didn't think, I wasn't thinking ahead.
No, I just second I said that, I was like, well, Morgan Freeman's dying then. In exactly that way. And it was, I thought that was super telegraphed.
Oh, I guess I didn't really pick on that.
You're too busy just looking at all the crazy designs.
Yeah, I was too enthralled by Hal.
By fake Hal.
I guess some of the plot sort of inconsistencies or plot holes. Like, how did Tech 52 actually survive? Like, out in the middle of a desert? Because Tech 52, the clone Tom Cruise, he's the one that touches down in that desert area, and other Tom Cruise beats him up, sedates him, and then like when he returns, he's gone. And then Tech 52 is obviously like walked away. But how did he survive?
I'm sure his whatever his partner got him was like, he's down without a thing. We need him back, and then they sent something out for him. It seems like they have pretty big things to like deal with that. That's not a thing I was really concerned about. Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise. He can survive in the desert for a while.
I guess so, yeah. I guess I had more problems with, like, why didn't the Tet destroy the Odyssey if it was just orbiting Earth for 60 years?
Yeah, that's pretty silly. Why didn't they just get rid of it once they did their thing? It was, eh.
And it's like some of the earlier scenes with, like, Tom Cruise in the library itself, like, all the scavs are revealed to be the human resistance, but they all seem, like, extremely animalistic in that library scene. Sort of like like a bait and switch kind of.
Yeah.
That sort of bothered me.
Yeah,
but it's overall a really great scene.
I think that seems pretty cool. Yeah, it has the Tom Cruise. It's got the shot from Mission Impossible 3 in it when he jumps over the cavern. So that's pretty silly.
Yeah. I was thinking about that too. It's like he's just getting that machine gun again.
Yeah,
from that car.
He's got to get the briefcase, and Philip Seymour Hoffman's kidnapped his wife.
But when the drone shows up at the end of that scene,
yes,
it kind of scared me a little bit. I was like, oh, and then it just decimates the entire place. It's like, whoa, don't mess with those drones.
No.
And I really like, if you're gonna hire Morgan Freeman to be in your movie, having his introduction, just his voice coming out of the dark, really effective.
They know how to use their Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
But I think we moved away from the thing I want to talk about, which is the final scene being terrible. The bit where it cuts to the 52 and his wife, and they've got a kid, and
I guess I have to see the movie again to listen to that like closing monologue. I don't really remember everything that he was saying, but I guess it's either like a Terminator scenario where they hook up once and then boom.
I thought the scenario was the night where they spent the night earlier in the film. That was that kid. I thought that was what happened. Like it was the original kid.
Or it could have been like she was pregnant before the Odyssey mission. I'm not sure.
I don't.
Like the twist with that like Julia is Jack's wife. It's easy to predict, but I felt like a few minutes later it justified it when like they cut back to the past where they're on the Empire State Building, and she's looking through like the telescope, and then he just puts up the ring in front of it and just like shimmers. And I was like, that's really sweet.
I agree.
And it just like felt immediately justified.
I guess my problem with the final scene was more that Jack's story was done. He was dead. You finished. You don't need to go back and tie up any more loose ends. They had a decent enough ending, and it just felt one twist wrap up too many when, But whatever, it was, it's not a bad film. Definitely not bad.
It does have a really great small part. No speaking lines, but really great small part by Zoe Bell in this movie.
She's just like the guy next to Morgan Freeman, right?
Yeah, she's next to Jamie Lannister. She
should have had more lines than none.
Yeah, but still, like every single time she showed up on screen, I just had a giant smile on my face. It's like, this is a bigger role than you had in Django Unchained.
They did a good job to create a character who said nothing, did nothing except be an action scene, but you actually still noticed their presence, which was...
Well, she did like divert the attention of that one drone in that
Oh, no, I know she did things
scene.
in the action scenes, but like in terms of the plot, she wasn't there, but they actually managed to give her a presence, which most films don't do.
And I actually really like all the outfits the scabs had, especially like the helmets. Look really cool.
Agreed. No, they looked great. So yeah, that'll probably wrap that up. Oblivion.
Yeah.
You should see it, even if...
Do you think sequel?
No. What? No. Why would there be a sequel?
I don't know. If it's successful enough. Oh, I guess it's sort of at the point where Tom Cruise, outside of Mission Impossible, just doesn't do sequels.
He doesn't know. He just does Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
I mean, I would, if they did a sequel, I'd actually be really interested in one, but I know that what I would be interested in wouldn't be what they'd make. Damn straight.
That's how we close this out with my ringtone going.
I was going to explain something, but no, I'm shutting this down. It's done.
Go see Oblivion.